What's up, Fortnite fam? The Chapter 2 Season 7 FNCS Finals has just wrapped up, and we have our new FNCS champions in every region. The best of the best battled it out over 3 qualifiers, 4 heats in the semi-finals, and even some games of the reboot round to all make it to the finals. So let's take a deep dive into each region's best trios who were able to come out on top.
Let's start over in OCE. Vortex, Jace, and Sun Gods ended day 1 in 4th place with 165 points. 2 of their first 6 games were lackluster, but their overall performance set them up going to day 2 of the finals. With a fresh day and minds focused, Vortex, Jace, and Sun Gods knew what needed to be done. If they wanted to be champions in OCE, they would need to beat Suns, Tui, and Alex. They board the battle bus in day 2 and drop a statement in game 1, a victory royale with 7 elims. The message? Very clear. Game 2, a second place with another 7 eliminations. All eyes are on them now as they begin pushing to the top. However, the lobby takes notice and shuts them down hard in Game 3. They fall in 18th with only 2 elims. This is their moment. They know they can win. Game 3, they pick up 6 more elims before dropping in 7th. Now, they're out of control. Momentum on their side, they slam another 2nd place with 11 eliminations. But that isn't enough. They aren't satisfied. If they were to be champions, it would need to be undeniable. The last game of the finals in OCE, and Vortex, Jace, and Sun Gods drop a victory royale with 16 eliminations, setting a new record in OCE for most elims and points in the FNCS Finals history. Their victory was earned. They poured everything they had into the win, and now they will hold the axe of champions high as new trios champions in OCE.
Over in Asia, a strong day 1 set up Focus Closer, Takidani LF, and Alba Paco team to be able to hold on for their first ever FNCS title win. They absolutely roared up the leaderboard on the first day, putting up an impressive 218 points, largely on the back of their eliminations and never placing outside of the top 10. Their first 2 matches alone, they placed 5th with 10 elims and 2nd with 14 elims, setting them up with a lot of momentum to start playing tournament management mode fairly early on. However, the trio would not be faced with a completely stressless run, starting day 2 out with a 0-point 32nd place performance and then closing the day with a 28th place 1 elim match gave a little bit of light to the other trios. Neither Q-Jack, Nator, and Alice, nor the Gamewell trio of Lettuce, Dawkin, and Boyu Ryu were able to complete the comeback, with the Gamewell trio falling just short in the final 2 matches. Despite putting up a combined 21 elims in the 4th and 3rd place finish, they were just 16 points shy of our eventual champs. Overall, Japan really showed out this FNCS for Asia, taking over the top 3 spots and forcing 2 of the Russian reigning champs all the way off the podium down to 4th place. Can't wait to see what happens next season.
In EU, we saw the tightest race for the AXA champions that we've ever seen in the region. But it was Kiriachi, Stormy Rat, and Twos who were the leaders after day 1 who took home the first place prize after the 2 days of competition. These guys were one of the more consistent teams across the weekend, being one of only 2 teams to accumulate 10 points in each game on day 1. No games off for the champions. But not only were they consistent, these guys were firing on all cylinders. They were the first team to have 2 double-digit elimination games after their crazy 3v3 finish against former FNCS champions Henjanis and Chapix to secure the win in Game 10. This win pushed them back into first place on the leaderboard going into the last 2 games, where they were able to hold on thanks to the heroics of Kiriachi in the final game. Going into that final game, all they needed to do was to remain alive as long as possible to prevent anybody beneath them in the leaderboard from potentially eclipsing them. And unfortunately for Kiriachi, both his teammates, Toos and Stormy Right, went down when there were still 17 teams remaining in the lobby. But that didn't discourage Kiriachi. He remained as a solo, clutching up as many points as possible and finished in 5th place, which was enough to hold off against the likes of Hottie Trippin and Elocrats in 2nd and Pink Nebs and Stompy in 3rd. Kiriachi infamously made his name in Season X for being the driving force and taking down the legendary MMB trio in the finals. However, this season he was the catalyst for his team winning the FNCS Finals and has solidified his name as a Fortnite legend.
Em uma temporada de outro mundo, o trio composto por Opai, PHzinho e GSX se consagrou campeão da FNCS Capítulo 2, temporada 7 na região Brasil. Esse trio começou a jogar junto na última temporada, quando conseguiram chegar na final da FNCS e terminaram na 8ª colocação. Desde então, a decisão de manter os mesmos jogadores deu certo. Os resultados só foram melhorando e com ótimos desempenhos em campeonatos por grana e outros torneios grandes da região do Brasil. Nessa temporada 7 da FNCS, o trio já chegou mostrando que não veio para brincadeira, terminando em 9º, 5º e 4º lugar nas 3 semanas classificatórias, respectivamente. Nas semifinais, eles terminaram na primeira posição do Grupo A, ganhando 2 das 6 quedas disponíveis, resultado que carimbou sua vaga para a final. Durante todas as etapas, a grande característica desse trio foi a escolha de não cair em um ponto de interesse específico, mas sim em locais menos disputados do mapa e de forma separada. Depois de abrir o máximo de baús possíveis e preencher os seus escudos, o trio sempre encontrava algum veículo para o seu próximo destino. Liderados por Opai nas rotações, PHzinho e GSX ficavam responsáveis por aplicar dano em todos os adversários que conseguissem. Jogando de maneira compacta e tomando decisões corretas, o trio teve um ótimo desempenho, garantindo 2 vitórias royale e 59 eliminações nessa final de FNCS, levando o grande prêmio e o título de campeões.
For the Middle East in the FNCS, the action's always soaring sky high. Starting on day 1, it was already a close race for first place. Falcons Fahad, Unix, and INM7X led the pack with some of the craziest consistency we've seen across FNCSs in day 1, powered by great layer control and at the same time clutches individually from every single player. They carried on that momentum in day 2, starting off the day with a double-digit Elim victory royale. The difference between the days though now is that everyone else was really on their A game. Falcons Snow, Sacker Sky, and Kings Abu Falha were contesting the first place trio almost every single game past the 5th zone for high ground. This Invader trio still had a very reputable day themselves, and coming into the final game, everyone had a chance to raise their placement, and the Falcon trio just had to hold on. Fahad, Unix, and INM learned from all their mistakes before and really pushed to adapt to everyone else in the lobby in this final game. They overbuilt on height and chose to let everyone else fight, leading to Unix going for a straight-up heal-off. This change secured them that first place spot overall as Middle East FNCS champions. Adapada Raid and Stoica, their consistency on day 2 and 1 got them second place overall. Valor, Cruel, and Meta also held on with some crazy Elim counts in the earlier day. Middle East is one of the most exciting regions to watch this season, and we can't wait to see what they do next FNCS.
Now over on NA East, we have to talk about the exciting performance from Duke Justice and Users. After an exceptional start, they now hold the record for most consecutive games in first place in NA East on day 1 of the FNCS Finals. On top of this, they averaged 5th place in almost 8 eliminations per game. With such an incredible start, they knew they would have to continue that momentum going into day 2. However, Scented Edgy and Commandment were close behind. They too needed a strong day 2 to break the 2nd place curse. Both teams have a rough start going into day 2, with Duke, Justice, and Users finding themselves falling into 28th place in Game 7. Scented Edgy and Commandment last a little bit longer, but find themselves going down in 16th. This shift meant that the top 3 spots were up for grabs. Another team began to creep up as Tabs G, Teo, and Pledge also find their way into contention. The games continue, and these 3 teams battle it out to see who will come out on top. Finally, we get to Game 12, and it is a close one. Each team realizes they need a solid performance to walk away with the FNCS champion pickaxe. Teo's team finds himself in a pinch as Tabs G and Pledge fall early. Teo is left alone to try and clutch up, but ultimately falls in rotation. Now 2 teams are left fighting for the top. Scented, Edgy, and Commandment play incredibly well, getting 5th place and 7 eliminations in the final moments. However, Duke, Justice, and Users were still up in the final game. They played the final moments carefully and ultimately scored themselves a victory royale. That victory royale and 6 eliminations solidified them as the NA East FNCS champions for Season 7.
As always, we've saved the West for last. In what is the NA West region without its kings, Arcrum, Rex, and Epic Whale, the already 3-time champs looking to take their 4th consecutive win. They kicked day 1 off with a strong performance, making it to the endgame in all 6 games. The real turning point was in game number 5, where it came down to them and their closest rivals, Kenshi, Snacky, and Favs. Kenshi's team commanded the high ground and looked like they were about to take another VR. That was until Epic Whale riskily chased them into zone, finding them and stopping their heal off. Arcrum finished them off for their first victory royale of the tournament and finished off day 1 in 2nd place. The start to day 2 was just as strong, placing 5th, then followed by a 2nd place finish with an absurd 15 eliminations. However, trouble started to brew when another team stepped up to take down the champs: Falconer, Reet, and Chris. Both teams traded off VRs for the second half of the day, with it all coming down to the final game. Kenshi, Snacky, and Favs held first place, but went down early to Storm Surge, leaving the other 2 teams in a final battle for first. It was the closest we've ever seen, and with Falconer's team taking the final VR, it looked like our champs' reign was over. However, with just a 10-point difference, Arcrum, Rex, and Epic Whale reclaimed their seats on the throne and became the back-to-back-to-back-to-back 4-time champs.
Each of our region winners are now the proud owner of the Axe of Champions. Well, that is until they have to fight to maintain it in the next season's FNCS. We hope you enjoyed this season as much as we did, and as always, we'll see you on the Battle Boss. Beep beep.